Hello, and we're back with another gear review on Jay's Bass channel, and thank you for checking it out. And thank you for the support. We're getting some more followers, subscribers on the channel, and I really appreciate it. I would like to invite everybody to comment and add their 2 cents on what's going on with these videos, questions, or if you got information for me that I don't know, that's great. I love learning things from you guys because these comments have been very informative for me. Lots of good back and forth. Anyway, today we are reviewing the Geddy Lee preamp, rack mount preamp from Tech 21. I think it's a GED 2112. And obviously we all know who Geddy Lee is if we are bass players, and we've, I guess, all played along with a Rush record, maybe at some point, maybe not. But I certainly did back in the 70s, especially the early stuff. I played along with a lot of the stuff of the first 4 or 5 albums a lot. So I learned a lot from listening to Geddy Lee. And here is the preamp, that's his signature preamp from Tech 21. So SansAmp / Tech 21 is a company that's been kind of making things where you could record direct for a long time. They really predate all these other bass distortion pedals, and their original bass preamp is, the SansAmp Bass DI is pretty much the thing that started the whole thing with bass players kind of adding coloration and distortion to their sounds before all these other companies came out with theirs. So these guys are the OG company servicing bass players with gear to color their sound, whether it be distortion, tonally, or whatever. Of course, there's some EQ on this thing. There is some amount of harmonics to add distortion, but this is kind of a complicated preamp. As we go across, it's got a drive button, a mid shift that selects the frequency, a blend knob for the drive, a bass knob and treble, a level, and then you have a whole separate section here for level and saturation, and this is called the deep channel. So on the back of this thing, there are 2 outputs. So it comes factory set up to drive 2 separate outputs, which is a little strange. Cool in a sense, but then again, you might be in a situation live playing or something like that where you don't have access to 2 outputs. So there's a mod you can do. You just flip this thing upside down, take the screws off, move a little jumper, and then you can operate both of these into 1 output. And right now what you're hearing is both outputs, and I'm recording straight into Pro Tools out of both outputs, and that's what we're listening to. What I've set it up for, I've got a little bit of drive, and I'm blending the drive in a little bit here and there, and what I'm going for is kind of, a driven amp tone, like when you turn your bass up, an old-timey bass up loud, it would get a little gritty, or some of them, like my Music Man, just gritty to start with. So here's kind of the sound I was playing just now on the track. Okay, this is my old 76 P-Bass, if anybody's wondering. I've had this thing forever. I bought it in the 90s and had an old used Barlini pickup and put it in it. And of course, I got a badass bridge on it. And this is my main playing bass, has been for many years. And so I'm very comfortable with it, trying out gear. So that's my setting of just a lightly driven distortion on the bass sound. Of course, you can clean this up. There's your blend knob right there. Very. Now I notice when you blend in the heavy distortion that it definitely brings in a certain sort of low end extra wallop. So you definitely notice that you probably, if you bring that in, you're going to probably come back with the bass knob on it a little bit, because it does. So if I go back with the blend, you'll notice that really deep low end wallop goes away a little bit. So there's a lot going on with this thing. You got the two different channels. You got your deep channel, you got your regular channel, and you have the possibility to do a jumper switch to make them both come out of one. Eventually, that's what I'm going to do with this preamp. At first, I was using it, and I'm like, man, I don't know what's going on with this preamp. But a little research let me know that there is a mod to let all of the goings on the front panel come out of one jack. And for most of my applications, that's going to be better. Now for recording, yeah, you can run both of them, and you can actually have one of the outputs clean and one with a little bit of grind in it. So it's a really cool thing, and I have a photo of the back of this thing, and there's just a lot of inputs and outputs. They've even got a thing where you can select between outputs on the back if you want to, say if you got a wireless in your rack and you want to run straight into the preamp. This thing has got a lot of bells and whistles and a lot to learn on it. But it's a very usable, good sounding preamp. Tech 21 is a great company. They make good stuff for bass players. But this one, I have to say, is a little more complicated than most. And I'm sure that's due to Geddy Lee's use of a 2-amp system. And this is set up to drive 2 separate amps. So if you use 2 bass amps, this is gold for you right here, because you can control the level of each bass amp with a separate output, and you can even dial in separate drive to each amp. So some people might run a clean bass amp for their subs, and then a distorted amp for more of the top and mid, and this thing would pretty much get you there. So this bass preamp is very cool, and I'll have to say that it took me a minute to really get my head around it. And I'm just here playing through the studio monitors. We're not using a power amp and a cabinet. Typically, a bass preamp like this is not just for recording. The reason they made these bass preamps back in the day, rack mount bass preamps, is to drive a rack mount power amp. So you bolt one of these into a rack with a commercial power amp like a QSC or whatever brand it may be, run into that and empower your speaker cabinet with the power amps. And those commercial power amps, QSCs, Crowns, whatever, those are really often very, very good sounding power amps, have a bigger and better low end than you'd get out of, your Ampeg or your TC or whatever brand it is. And they're very just robust typically. If you get good ones, of course, there's, like anything, there's differences in quality, but if you get a good quality power amp and hook it up to this, with, that puts out 300 watts a channel or something like that, you're going to have a very robust bass rig. Problem is those racks can get a little big, and now everybody's going with these little Class D amps. So if you're looking for something lightweight and easy to haul around, using a bass preamp like this, is not going to be the thing for you. You're going to get the pedal version of this thing. Anyway, there's a little bit about bass preamps, what they're for. Basically what they're for is to amplify your instrument level signal up to line level, so you can drive that into a power amp or into a recording device. In this case, this is going out of here straight to my converters into Pro Tools. Whatever goes into Pro Tools is coming straight out of here. Another thing I noticed is I definitely feel like there's a little bit of compression added in this circuit in general, which makes it fairly fun to play. I'll have to say that using this thing might even negate your need for a compressor, because it definitely has a bit of a compressed feel, which I think, for a lot of people, that's a good thing. You want an amp with good dynamics, but then again, a little bit of compression, tastefully done or properly done, is always a good thing. So, okay, I think I've talked about enough about the Geddy Lee 2112 rack mount preamp. So again, this is Jay's Bass Channel. Hopefully you got something out of that, and we'll see you soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe and help me out on my quest to get 1,000 followers. All right, man. See ya.